So, you just woke up on the beach out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Balls swaying in the breeze.
Yeah.
On top of that, you have no idea how it happened.
No.
The beginning of a new year is usually a quiet time for the gaming community, with a few small titles releasing here and there. Sega and RGG Studio have other plans, however, as the 8th mainline entry in the Yakuza / Like a Dragon franchise is coming in hot to start off 2024 with a bang. Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth finally ditches the westernized naming of Yakuza and bands together two larger-than-life heroes, Ichiban Kasuga and Kazuma Kiryu, in an all-new action-packed adventure. I'm Ron Burke, editor-in-chief for GamingTrend.com, saying all the talky parts for Henry Viola and David Flynn's review of Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth. Let's get started.
Still got it.
This game takes place 4 years after the events of Yakuza Like a Dragon and sees our new protagonist, Ichiban Kasuga, working a normal job at Hello Work after the dissolution of the Yakuza. Following a tip from an old ally, Ichiban finds himself in America for the first time to search for his once believed to be dead mother, Akane-san. Turns out that Kiryu is tasked by the Daidoji faction to also look for Akane, and the two form an unlikely team on an adventure filled with twists and turns. Heavy themes and narrative storytelling have always been at the franchise's forefront, and we're glad to say that the story mostly delivers, although we believe the former game's themes to be a bit stronger. Nonetheless, the game retains its signature blend of gripping drama and absolutely absurd humor.
For the love of all that is holy, please accept! Oh, yeah!
Infinite Wealth uses the same turn-based system of combat introduced in Yakuza Like a Dragon, with 4 party members active at any given time. Commands are issued per character, and you can choose between a basic attack, guard, skill, or an item. Depending on the skill used, you're tasked with a different QuickTime event such as a button mash or timed press to deal bonus damage. We found the time button press much easier to read here than in the first game, thankfully. Correctly timing the block button during an enemy attack can reduce damage taken, or even trigger a counterattack if you're high enough level. With Kiryu being a playable character now, the game introduces some refreshing exclusive mechanics, most notably the ability to break the turn-based combat system into a real-time brawler style for a short duration, much like the previous games. Our biggest praise for the game is that it has a truckload of quality of life updates that Infinite Wealth brings over from its predecessor. For starters, you can now move in battle. Every party member can now walk in a small radius, which increases as you level up so that you can reposition to a more tactical position. Why would you want to reposition, you ask? Well, hitting an enemy from behind triggers an enhanced back attack, which causes every hit to be critical, whereas just being close to an enemy allows for proximity attack, which adds bonus damage. There's also a wall bouncing mechanic from knockbacks, so if you stand in front of an enemy that's next to a wall, well, you're in luck. Smacking an enemy into a party member can also trigger follow-up attacks as well, maximizing your damage output. Now, we can go on and on about the countless number of little changes and improvements upon Yakuza 7, but I'm just going to give you a few for time's sake. Once you're a set number of levels above enemies in the overworld, the game prompts you with the Smackdown attack, which lets you instantly wipe trash mobs at the expense of slightly less experience and money. Pound mates, or summons, stick around as a pseudo party member that stays for 2 or 3 turns. Everyone now recovers MP from basic attacks, and every character, other than Ichiban, now charges up an infinite symbol, which is unlocked from increasing your bond levels with other characters, which can then be used to execute an ultimate tag team move.
There you go. Token of friendship. How about it? Wow. Really? All right, I'm in.
Most of the game is split across Honolulu, Hawaii, and Injicho, Yokohama, along with a small portion of Kamurocho and other locations in Tokyo for specific narrative purposes. This is the first time the franchise has featured a location set outside of Japan, and the tropical vibes of Hawaii are more than a welcome change of scenery compared to the neon-lit city streets of Japan. Unfortunately, you're tied to a specific location until you beat the campaign, after which the game opens up completely and allows you to travel between each location at any time. Clearing the game also enables you to change the time of day, which can trigger certain events, along with changing character costumes outside of combat. Given the sheer number of playable characters in Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth, RGG Studio effortlessly splits the main protagonists between Hawaii and Japan for narrative purposes. This means you'll have around 4 to 5 party members at each location at any given time. You'll be spending entire chapters at one specific locale with a specific set of characters. For example, Kiryu returns to Japan at one point, with his party consisting of Nanba, Sionhei, Zhao, and Seiko, whereas the rest of the cast remain in Hawaii. Kiryu being the main protagonist back in Japan also allows for different overworld activities compared to Ichiban, and this is where the bucket list comes in. Remember, Kiryu-chan has cancer, and his friends want him to enjoy his remaining days to the fullest.
Kazuma Kiryu is actually still alive. He's been pulling the strings behind society as we speak. Those rumors, right? What kind of officer would say that? It's complete nonsense.
Ichiban's personality traits are used to unlock new jobs for your entire party at Aloe Happy Tours in Honolulu. New jobs include Samurai, Desperado, Kunoichi, and Aquanaut, whereas old jobs such as Breaker, Chef, Idol, and Night Queen make a return as well. Jobs are still split among male and female party members, unfortunately, but equipment is no longer gender-locked. Each character also retains an exclusive job, such as Ichiban being a hero and Kiryu employing the Dragon of the Dojima job. Unlocking certain jobs for other party members also depends on your bond level with them. Deepening your relationship with your friends is just as important in this game as it was in the last, so always take that time to give a gift, initiate some small talk, and activate those drink links. Maxing out your bond levels with your party members enables them to do combo and follow-up attacks in combat, so it's a win-win situation. If you are a longtime Yakuza fan, then you are in for a treat, as Infinite Wealth serves up a lot of fanfare and callbacks to previous events and characters. Legendary Yakuza members Goro Majima, Daigo Dojima, and Taiga Sajima make a welcome return, although their appearances are short-lived and none of them are playable. Is it too much to ask for Majima to be a recruitable party member? Completing Kiryu's bucket list events also treats you to encounters with previous friends and allies that showed up once before in Kiryu's life, all of which we let you experience for yourself firsthand. We're not going to spoil it here. Doing so also awakens the tried and true Dragon of Dojima, which further boosts Kiryu's 3 distinctive fighting styles and heat actions. Like any other Yakuza game, Infinite Wealth is filled to the brim with side activities galore, some of the most notable being Dandoko Island, which has you oversee and build up an island resort, and the Sujimon League, which has you recruiting Sujimon in hope of battling the Discreet Four. These are RGG Studios' parody takes on Animal Crossing and Pokemon, respectively. You can also expect to sink dozens of hours into the aforementioned activities if you want to see through each to the end. Of course, there are smaller minigames too, including Crazy Delivery, Sicko Snap, and Mismatch, just to name a few. Interesting sub-stories and side dungeons also exist, so there's never a lack of things to do. And don't worry, because arcade and casino-related minigames are ever present as well, including Virtua Fighter 3 TB, Spike Out, Sega Bass Fishing, Blackjack, Mahjong, and Poker. Multiplayer games can also be accessed conveniently in the main menu of the game, some of which support up to 4 players locally. The main menu also provides a nifty way to replay full cutscenes from all 14 chapters of the game, along with loading and save data from the PS4.
See, I'm not from here originally. For a while, I had trouble fitting in. And I was like, what the hell? Whose ass do I have to kick to meet some motherfuckers around here?
Performance-wise, Infinite Wealth fares excellently on the PlayStation 5. Clocking in at a hefty 53.91 gigs, for reference, Yakuza Like a Dragon was around 42.28 on PS5. The game takes around 6 seconds to load in from a fresh launch and maintains a completely smooth 60 frames per second throughout. There are no performance or fidelity modes, so whatever you see is what you get. There are no difficulty options, which is aligned with the previous title, but the game isn't very hard aside from some nasty difficulty spikes in the final chapter. However, it should be known that Sega is paywalling New Game Plus and harder difficulty modes behind the Ultimate Edition of the game, which is a huge disappointment. On the other hand, the PC version of the game luxuriates in a full suite of options as well as full keyboard and mouse support. You'll have access to a full suite of graphic options to customize the game to your device, and the game will still look great even on low settings. The game includes 2 different types of FSR and DLSS, though for some reason we are getting a bug using frame generation, where the latter will cause the screen to flash pink upon picking up items. It's likely a driver issue and will be resolved shortly. Even with that off, the game easily blasts past 60 frames per second on an RTX 4070. The game is an absolute joy on Steam Deck as well. While we locked it at 30 frames per second in mostly low settings, it still looks great and runs great, even supporting ultra-wide outside of cutscenes. With everything set to low except for geometry, which was set to medium, you'll be able to get to about 2 hours of gameplay from the battery, which is perfect for grinding up a few levels or ranking up jobs in the randomly generated dungeons that you can unlock. Despite the lack of a difficulty slider, there is a respectable number of accessibility options here. There are a lot of mechanics associated with this game, and it can get extremely overwhelming and confusing if you're coming into it for the first time. Thankfully, there's a help menu that explains combat, exploration, personality traits, bonds, and more in intricate detail. Additionally, a convenient character profile menu details the history of important characters such as Joe Sawashiro and Masumi Akawara, which provides an extremely useful link for those that need a quick refresher. This time around, there are dub options for English, Japanese, and even Chinese. In terms of technical settings, the controller layout can be rebound, HDR brightness levels can be adjusted, battle speed can be slowed down, blood effects can be reduced, subtitle size, color, and background can be toggled, and you'll even have the option to turn off QuickTime event prompts during combat. While there is much to praise about the game, it's not without faults either. For example, Ichiban is unable to speak English in Hawaii in the beginning, but the fact just quickly gets forgotten, and he and the rest of the Japanese cast have no problem communicating with non-Japanese characters without a translator. I've also noticed that subtitles only sometimes appear when Japanese words are displayed on the screen. We weren't very impressed with Young-Ye's performance as Kiryu for the English dub, as he sounded bored or monotone a lot of times.
From the government's point of view, it's more convenient for the homeless to be under Barracuda control than to let them roam the streets.
Yeah, but doesn't it cost money to use the shops and all? Where are these people getting the money?
That being said, Ya absolutely kills it in one of the final cutscenes after defeating the final boss. While Kiryu is mostly monotone in Japanese as well, Takeya Kuroda knows when to add some emotion and passion into his performance. We'd have liked to see a bit more of that from Ye's performance throughout. Now for the question that everyone wants to know: how long is the game? By now I'm sure everyone has heard that Infinite Wealth should take players days if they want to play non-stop to complete it. Well, this is partially true, we guess, as the main story took us around 40 to 45 hours to complete with a few side activities done. Now, we haven't really deep dived into Dongdoku Island nor the Sujuan battles, but we can definitely see this being a 100 plus hour experience for 100% completion of everything. Unfortunately, we didn't see an endgame dungeon like the final Millennium Tower in the previous game, so Premium Adventure, after completing the campaign, is just for cleaning up side tasks. While we did say that the main story doesn't quite reach the excellence of 7, its main theme of second chances is still very powerful. Infinite Wealth also has some biting social commentary regarding police brutality and cancel culture. There are many twists and turns throughout to keep you hooked, though having to swap between Ichiban and Kiryu every chapter can leave plot threads dangling for a bit too long. If you're not blasting through the main story, the game can take you upwards of 70 hours to reach the credits, and that's with a ton more side quests, mini-games, and other things left on the table. We highly recommend completing as much of Kiryu's bucket list as you possibly can, especially for longtime fans, as just about everything from the series past comes back for some closure. Dead Souls and Ishin are even referenced here, with the only notable absence being the PSP titles. As one of us has been through the series since at least Yakuza 4, seeing all of these characters we never thought would be mentioned ever again is a delight and really puts a cap on Kiryu's story. Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth earns a 95% from the GamingTrend team, with the TLDR being, Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth is a triumph and a worthy continuation of the Like a Dragon franchise. RGG Studio has managed to improve on the gameplay mechanics and features of the previous title in virtually every way, while upholding the narrative quality and goofy nature of the series. The game is not without its flaws, but they're overshadowed by its strengths, and the game deserves praise for its ambition and innovation. Infinite Wealth is undoubtedly an early Game of the Year contender, and a must-play for RPG lovers and Yakuza enthusiasts alike. We hope you've enjoyed this review for Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth. If you have, click that like and subscribe. I think you know how this works at this point. I'm Ron Burke, Editor-in-Chief for GamingTrend.com, saying stay safe out there, and we'll see you again very soon.